With me now, Professor of Economics and Public Policy at the University of Michigan, Justin Wolfers. Justin, good to see you. Look, a source telling CNN tonight that Trump is going to announce a trade deal with the UK tomorrow. Is that something you would consider a major trade deal?
No. So let's get some numbers and some context for the people at home. The United Kingdom, wonderful country, lovely people, love myself some fish and chips, don't mind their beer, but they're our 11th largest trading partner. They account for count them, 3% of American trade. And if I took off all my shoes and socks and got 4 more people in the room, I'd be able to tell you that that leaves 97% of American trade are absolutely up in the air. Now, Laura, I want to tell you one more fact that will blow your mind. Go back 6 weeks ago. The average tariff the United Kingdom charged to countries around the world was 1%. That's the stakes here. So the best we can do is knock the United Kingdom down from 1% to 0, and it's already clear we didn't get them to 0. And along the way, the president is imposing a 10% tariff on the United Kingdom, making it harder for Americans to do business with trading partners over in the old Dart.
So why do you think he's announcing this with the UK? What is the game plan here to suggest that this is much bigger deal than you say?
Oh, the president's a showman. He's going to tell you that there's all sorts of wonderful things about it. This is a country with a king and a queen, and they have beef eaters and all sorts of things, but they're not remotely central to us. The other thing to realize about the United Kingdom, bless them, but they're sort of the guys who walked away from trade very recently. They're particularly looking for friends. You might have been at high school once and there was someone who told their whole group of friends to go stuff themselves. That's the United Kingdom. And once you do that to your friends, you very quickly go looking for another friend group, and you'll find that other friend group wherever you can. And we probably shouldn't be surprised the country that went Brexit now comes back and goes Trump.
Here's to all the kids carrying their lunch tray, wondering for that new group of friends. I'm not saying I'm not one of them. I just like your analogy, Justin. But the Fed chair, Powell, warned something today. It is possible to imagine, it's a quote, the economy losing steam. Now, Trump is insisting tonight the economy is going to boom in a way never seen before. How do you see it?
Look, it's somewhat interesting how I see it. I don't believe him. It's more interesting to tell you what the consensus of economists tells you. There's not an economist alive who thinks that the economy isn't facing enormous and unnecessary risks. The really important thing Chairman Powell said today is he said, we're risking 2 things here with tariffs. We're risking higher unemployment and higher inflation. Normally we get one bad flavor or the other. We're talking about getting both of them at the same time. That's not my forecast. That's Chairman Powell,
and that's
the Trump appointee and head of the Fed. Sorry?
And that would be stagflation, as it's known.
That's the word for it, stagflation. 2 words, stagnating economy, inflation. So both bad things happening to the economy at the same time. The chairman was clear to say it hasn't happened yet, but that's what's in the minds of the Fed, and that's what they expect going forward.
President Trump announcing what he calls a major trade deal between the United States and the United Kingdom. This would be the first deal that he has actually locked in since starting his trade war. And details of this deal, though, set to be revealed in a 10 a.m. press conference in the Oval Office. Now, the UK, like every other country, is right now subject to a 10% baseline tariff from the United States and a 25% tariff on steel, aluminum, and on autos. CNN's Elena Treen joining us from the White House with much more on this. So it's more of what we don't know, I guess, this morning ahead of this announcement, but tell us what we got.
Right. Well, as you said, we got our first trade deal, Kate. We are going to learn more about it at 10 a.m. when the president gathers in the Oval Office with some United Kingdom officials for this, as the president is touting it, major trade agreement. Now, of course, this is welcome news to global markets, but even more welcome news to the White House and this Trump administration, which has really been facing increased pressure to announce any sort of progress and movement on these different trade negotiations, particularly as we continue to, see the economic turmoil from the president's tariff policies. Now, this trade agreement comes almost a month to the day that the president was forced to roll back his reciprocal tariffs because it had sent different markets spiraling. And so this should ease some of that. Now, I do want to read for you because we've really seen the president. He is posting up a storm this morning, Kate. I want to read for you one of his latest posts on this. He said, quote, "The agreement with the United Kingdom is a full and comprehensive one that will cement the relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom for many years to come. Because of our longtime history and allegiance together, it is a great honor to have the United Kingdom as our first announcement." He says many other deals, which are in serious stages of negotiations, will be to follow. Now, just to be clear here, despite his rhetoric and the administration's rhetoric that this is going to be a full and comprehensive deal, we know that trade agreements, real trade agreements, actually take a lot of time. They are complex negotiations. They go over the minutia of different, tariff goods, non-tariff barriers, et cetera. And so what we're likely to see today at 10 a.m. is some sort of memorandum of understanding. They'll probably lower some tariffs in the time being, but it'll take longer likely to really hash out the very specific details. Now, as you mentioned, we don't actually know a lot of what is going into this agreement, but the Financial Times actually had a great story earlier this week laying out some of the parameters. They say that Trump is lining up tax breaks for tech giants, cheaper access to UK car and agriculture markets for American exports, and in return, the president is expected to lower steel and automobile tariffs. And so that's likely some of what we're going to see at 10 a.m. when they announce this agreement, Kate.
All right, we'll be there with you. Thank you so much, Elena Treen at the White House for us. Joining us right now is Democratic Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon. He's the top Democrat on Senate Finance. He's also been leading the effort in the Senate to try to stop the president from unilaterally being able to impose these tariffs. Senator, thanks for coming in. A trade deal with the UK. Have you heard anything about it over there on the Hill yet this morning?
Not much, and about 2% of our imports, Kate, come from Great Britain. So put me down as kind of skeptical that there is much there. I can tell you at home in Oregon, our farmers are hurting, our small businesses are hurting, people are concerned about their 401ks. I don't think this is going to do much for that.
The Financial Times this week reported a little bit on what is potentially in it, that the UK deal would exempt the US from some non-tariff trade barriers, like the UK's 2% digital tax on tech companies. And in exchange, then the U.S. may ease the tariff burden on the UK, perhaps reducing or exempting the country from the 25% on aluminum, steel, and autos. If that's what this deal is, would you call it a good deal?
It's not much. The digital taxes, for example, are something that we've worked on for years and years. In terms of the companies, I can tell you, you saw the headlines this morning, we have companies that after a couple of months are hemorrhaging profits. I can tell you when I talk to the Oregon farmers, the wheat folks, they tell me that prices are down, input costs are up, and they're just literally begging for some predictability and some sense that the chaos is going to subside. And my sense is we're going to get more of it in July when the pause stops.
Really, finally on this one, if it's not a finalized deal, instead it's an announcement of negotiations or announcement of a framework to be negotiated over coming months, because context is it often takes years to negotiate big trade deals, what do you think the impact of that is?
I don't think it's going to be much. And I think your earlier comments said we're looking for leadership, particularly in Asia. And it just looks to me like things are pretty stalled out there. That's where we really need the relief.